Hey everyone, welcome to the webinar about success principles. My name is Molly and I'm a coach for women who work in the nonprofit sector. I also work full-time at a nonprofit in the fundraising department. I'm on the board of a nonprofit. I teach about nonprofit work as a professor. So I like the nonprofit sector and we'll talk more about that tonight. And later this year, I will have a book published. So announcements about that book are made on Facebook. So just search for Hopelessly Hopeful Books and you'll know when it's coming out. It's a 28-day devotional for people who are separated from their spouse due to marital strife. So all of that aside, I am so happy that you have decided to join me here today and take the first step in becoming a better leader. You know, right now I'm reading Greg McCowan's Effortless, Make It Easier to Do What Matters Most. And having these success principles in your back pocket is a way to make things, well, become more effortless. So no need to recreate the wheel, or rather the success principle. The principles begin with what is good for an organization in this presentation, but you can easily adapt them to goals in your personal life. So you'll notice that there are groupings of slides that have a different concept that you might want to try out as one of your new principles to gain success. Don't take them all out at once, one at a time. And by the end of this webinar, you'll have a tool belt of principles that will produce better results quicker. So let's go ahead and get started. What I am going to do is share my screen with you. And you will see that we have proven success principles in the 21st century. It's a little blurry. So we'll just go ahead and skip right on next to what success stands for. So really, it's at the heart of the organization, this concept of what you stand for. And it all comes down to values, of course. It serves as the foundation for starting and growing an organization, or even thinking about your personal goals. So identifying your organization's core values is a fundamental step on the road to success. And once you've established what those values are, then you have the answer to the very important question, why do I do what I do? Same goes for your personal life too. It's the why that you lead with, it's what you stand for, it's what your organization or your service or yourself, it's you. If you want to dive deeper into the topic of mission and perhaps even values for yourself personally, there's 2 videos from earlier this year. So on YouTube, so search Nonprofits on a Mission, Mollie Bond, and you'll be able to find those. They run about 20-30 minutes. All right, so let's look at some ways to get to your why. Defining your values is a part of your organization's DNA, so the approach to defining them should be well considered. A one-size-fits-all approach is not really an honest assessment, and that will set you apart from other organizations. So here's a few steps to help you identify and define what it is that stands at the heart of yourself or your organization. So just as some thought processes and some suggestions and maybe that next step that you want to take. Make a list of what you believe your organization represents. Make a list of a few situations that best represent your founding principles. Assess your current organization culture. What is it that you're currently doing? And make a list of what you hope to achieve as an organization. Finally, make a list of values that fit your organization and then just start paring them down until you landed a few that really nails what your organization is at its heart. And again, you can always go back and review the video. It's called Core Values Recreated from February on YouTube, which helps specifically an individual to find their core values, which is great. It does work for teams and organizations too, and it's a good way just to think that through and reevaluate and have some additional ways that you can find your values. Now, once you've established your core values, you need to create a foundation to work from. So the next step for your organization's success is setting goals for where you want to go as an organization. Having firm, accomplishable goals will grow your organization, cultivate teamwork, collaboration, help you and your team know to where the organization is headed. And when your goals are clearly defined, the people you work with will have purpose toward that goal. And it's with purpose and teamwork and collaboration, all those things together is what gets you there, gets you from point A to point B. So setting a goal is, well, one step. You must be able to measure your progress toward that goal to achieve it with certainty. And as Mark Horstman of Manager Tool says, what gets measured gets done. So how do we measure our goals? Here's some guidelines to help you establish, monitor, and achieve your goal. Now, you'll notice that it spells out the word SMART. Each word, the first letter of each word spells out the word SMART. So we're going to learn about SMART goals. If you haven't run into this before, there's a little bit of explanation after each word. So specificity, what is your specific goal? Measurability, how will you measure your progress toward your goal? Achievability, what will you gain by achieving said goal? Relevance, what does achieving this goal mean for your organization? Timeliness, what is the time frame for achieving the goal? So some of these are going to be more important to you than others. Perhaps measurability is where you really want to end up, where you really need to get your goal in line so that you can get there. And that's okay. You can just have the M in SMART. Maybe you need to think about the realistic way that this can be achieved. So maybe achievability and relevance are what you're really thinking about at this point. Awesome. So there's no need for you to bang your head against a wall, making sure that your goal is SMART. These are just helpful, useful tools for you to consider in your success principles. Now, to put your organization's values and goals into play, you need to be able to, well, execute on your strategy. And one way to do that is create an operating rhythm. So a rhythm sets a cadence for productivity by allowing you to engage with your employees, your volunteers, your clients on a regular basis. It's another way to measure your progress, whether that's day to day or if it's for the whole goal overall. Now, often with an operating rhythm, it's best to set by holding meetings with your team to gauge progress and get a feel for how your employees are feeling about the work at hand and how they're working together. Regular scheduled meetings are a great way to get feedback on how you're tracking your goal too. Now, if you're working on something personal, consider the rhythms that you have on the progress towards your goal. How often are you checking in to make sure that you're getting closer? So here's the key phrase that I learned that rocked my world. Consistency compounds. And in fact, for the year 2021, my word of the year is consistency. I have a bracelet that I wear that has that on it. And it has been a fabulous way for me to understand my goals and if I'm achieving them. So for me, my rhythm is I get up very early in the morning and I do 30 minutes spending just a little bit of time with the Lord and getting my day straight. Then I spend 30 minutes writing. I spend 30 minutes working on a big project. I spend 30 minutes making sure that I'm set for the day with my email so I can just close that down and know that I'm in good hands. And so having that regular rhythm and that regular touch point has gotten me things like the book being published later this year and me being able to teach a college course in the fall. And it just means 30 minutes every day. And every day that gets me 30 minutes closer. And by the end of the week, I've got another 2.5 hours put in. So consistency compounds. Get in the rhythm. All right. Once you've established your rhythm, if that is one of your success principles, then you'll want to also think about, in terms of strategy, how to differentiate your product or service from other organizations. Now, this really is more toward an organization thought process, so just bear with me for a minute if you're thinking just about you and your goals. Now, if you are thinking organizationally, you'll want to showcase your brand in a unique and innovative way. And let's be real, a brand is more than just a logo. A logo is a visual representation of your culture and what you stand for, your values, your mission, and your vision. It represents who you are, what you are. So really you need to be thoughtful about the marketing plan and how you are going to showcase that to the wider world. It's the culmination of the experience. So again, more than just a logo. Your marketing plan should center around keeping your mission or your ultimate goal in the forefront. It's literally a strategy. It's a plan on how you're going to reach your goal. It should include tools, tactics for your plan of action, including numbers and facts for achieving your goals. And knowing what you do to serve your community, what sets you apart, who your target audience is, and how to track progress is essential as you market your brand. Now, if you're working with a personal goal, you can think about in terms of who are you going to share it with? How often are you going to touch base and check in? How are you going to measure it? Facts and figures. You don't necessarily need to create a logo for it, but write it down. In either case, make sure that you're writing it down. There's something that helps us remember better when we write it down or write it down. So detailing your target audience will help measure the success of your service by providing a focused look at the communities available to see if you're hitting your mark. So think about things like demographics, age, gender, geographic region, earnings, family structure, or maybe you want to choose your audience based on a lifestyle. What kind of person would really engage with your organization? Whatever your target is, whatever your target market is, you'll want to be specific to help you to assess what it is that sets you apart from other organizations and what would attract them to your organization. Now, if you're working on a personal goal, think about your target outcome. Maybe not a target audience, but what's that target that you're aiming toward? What kind of resources will you need to help you get to that target? That's the target you want to consider. Now, your existing or potential community is the basis for your marketing strategy. So make sure you're serving that community when you're marketing your service. The marketing tactics you employ will help you to reach your audience, such as social media networking, billboards, newsletters, emails, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, those are just tools to reach community needs. What sets your organization apart is how you present your services and how you interact with your clients and the people that you're serving. Providing the community with the why of your service and not what it is or how you created it is where the action really happens. So tell your story. It's the why that gets back to the core of the organization, your values, your purpose. It's what connects us together. It's what makes the difference. It sets your organization apart because no other organization or service shares your core values or the reason for creating your organization. It's a unique quality that sets you apart. And again, it's the way that you make the difference. Employees create your organization culture, and without that culture, well, your marketing efforts are in vain. So it's employees that execute on your vision. So cater to your employees as as if they are as important to you as your volunteers and your board member and the clients you serve. Now, the following are options that will work well for achieving your personal goal as well. So maintain a strong organization culture by using some of these thought processes. First, create and define your vision. A specific vision allows employees, volunteers, et cetera, all your different constituencies, or yourself to work with a sense of purpose, and purpose feeds into happiness, and happiness feeds into overall well-being. Ding! You can also consider nurture collaboration, being open to a team dynamic, communication, transparency. That gives people a sense of ownership over what they are engaging with. Promoting performance. So stand firm in your core values and create an environment that is the living, breathing reflection of those values. Be a role model for performance and empowering people around you to do their best by setting the example for success. Cultivate learning. Provide the tools to engage in learning and be open to new ideas. Who knows? Now, just specifically to organizations for a moment, there are several ways to see if your efforts to maintain organization culture are paying off, and that's by measuring teamwork performance. Now, there's several ways to see if your efforts are working well, and one of those is through attendance. So attendance is a good indicator of how inspired or motivated the people you're working with are. Efficiency, so meeting deadlines, being prepared, those are reflections of instruction and tools that are in place in order to be successful. Helpfulness, how helpful are the people around you? How helpful are they within their teams and with their communities? That's a good indicator of overall morale. Initiative is a sign of fulfillment and satisfaction. And quality work is reflective of the environment where the work is being performed. So these should help you understand more if your core values are a part of your culture. Staying engaged in the daily performance of an organization is how a leader stays within the pulse of satisfaction and performance. So, if you are an organizational nonprofit leader, one way to stay in touch is periodically working directly with your teams. Maybe you end up answering phones or working in the back kitchen or doing something to re engage with that initial reason why you started the organization. Whatever it is you decide, being in the mix makes you accessible. It gives people around you a sense of belonging. It keeps you at the heart of the organization, and you truly are living your values in that moment. So, if you're working on a personal goal, remember why and what that core reason was to seek the goal in the first place. Why did I find this so critical in the moment? So, think about how you can do that. How do you keep your core focus the core focus? Part of what makes a strong organization culture or the ability to reach a personal goal is in recognizing and playing to individual strengths. The most inspired people are the ones who value what they can do rather than maybe recognizing how they fell short. So, being reminded of weaknesses does not bring productivity, but being acknowledged for strengths creates an overwhelmingly inspirational environment. The world of organizations are ever changing, and even though you're standing firm in your values, it's crucial to the success of your organization or yourself to continue to learn, change so that you stay ahead of the curve. Always stay up on trends in the market to make sure your brand stays relevant and your services continue to show its purpose, that your goal isn't being overwhelmed by all the things that you thought you had to do, and now, ta-da, this app fixes all of that. Know the trends for your goal. You might find a way to cut your goal in half or to make it simpler to achieve that sense of accomplishment. If you're, say, going to run a marathon, you find a running buddy or a running group that just happens to take the same path as your marathon. There's many ways that we can find avenues to keep our edges sharp. Now, every organization and individual has experienced failure right here. Whether it's a service failure or a failure to meet a goal, everyone's experienced it along the way. Now, one of the best ways to feed your culture and to continue growing yourself is to openly address your failures. Failures can lead to more failure unless you are willing to look at each failure and use it to your advantage to help propel you toward future successes. I have to put in a little caveat here. Today, I heard that that when you reach a failure, sometimes it's a finish line. And I thought that was really clever to understand that sometimes you keep an organization back because you keep running into the same failures, and sometimes you just need to stop. On the other hand, don't forget about the importance of celebrating your successes. Keep your organization culture of motivating people strong by taking the time to celebrate successes. Engagement at this level provides validation, acknowledgement of the work being performed. If you are looking at achieving a personal goal, what's the reward to treat yourself with once you've accomplished a goal? This is the fun part. Now, here's some ideas. I'm sure that you have many that make sense for you and what you would value. But you could consider having a family barbecue, creating a special award for high performing individuals. Tell your story of success on social media. Tell your story to your community. Commend those who helped along the way. Whatever is going to make the moment special, you are on it. Finally, feedback. Asking for feedback from others is a great way to assess your own performance. It's also a constructive way to help you reflect, grow, and succeed as a leader. It is a leadership success principle. Now, good times to ask for feedback are before or after a meeting, at an annual review, quarterly, in the moment. Hey, if you are a part of this live recording, I will ask you for feedback afterwards. Now, don't forget, Your responses after receiving the feedback is just as important as asking as well. So thank you so much for attending, and I hope this experience has left you with some great tools to start implementing today. So stick around for another minute. I've got some other resources I wanted to let you know about. First off, there is a lot of articles that went into creating this particular webinar. And so there are 3 slides. I will send out the recording to everybody who registered so that you can take a second look at some of these if it would be of interest to you. And then finally, you can learn more about yourself and how these principles play out in your life by attending these webinars. They're totally free. They're held on the first Thursday of every month. So you can go to nonprofitsonamission.com. So that's nonprofits, plural, with an S, onamission.com, and register for the ones that interest you. There are plenty there all the way through December 2021, and I'll put in the website in the chat after this recording so that you have the link directly. Now, I'm also certified in DISC, which is a behavioral work style test, and it helps you and those around you to be more productive and have more fun once you understand how everybody likes to communicate and generally their natural behaviors. So if you're interested in taking a 20-minute test and then an hour follow-up session to learn your DISC style, let me know. You can email me at Mollie, M-O-L-L-I-E, at nonprofitsonamission.com. So thank you again so much for attending this webinar. It means a lot to me to be able to share these lessons with you, and I hope that you have found some new tactics to reach greater success. Now it's the time to get started. So remember, I said one success principle, one thing that you want to try, and let me know what it is. Reach out if you have any questions, concerns. I'm happy to help. And I hope that proven success principles has exceeded your expectations and that you feel like you're more knowledgeable and excited to implement the principles for success that we covered. Thanks again, everyone. See you soon.